The MPC3 beta has a feature that almost resembles Elektron's Ctrl+All feature. And then I'm releasing it, it snaps back. It's so wonderful. If you're already subscribed to our channel, you've probably heard us talk about Ctrl+All at least 5 times now. It's by far the most fun feature I know on any groovebox. And that's why it's very exciting that the MPC is going to get something very similar. It's not quite the same thing, but it's close and it's fun. If you don't know what Ctrl+All is, I recommend that you watch our Syntakt review or our Digitakt review or our, well, you can almost watch any of our videos and you're gonna hear something about Ctrl+All. Basically, in a nutshell, what it is it gives you a way to modify parameters across multiple tracks at the same time. So for example, you could turn up the cutoff of a filter on all tracks on a Syntakt. On an MPC, it used to be the case that you could only assign one Q-link knob to one parameter at a time. But in MPC3 beta, it's still in beta, it's been out for about, 5-6 months now. What they've added is the ability to add multiple parameters on each Q-link. So what that basically means is that you can now build your custom Ctrl+All, which is really, really cool. And so I'm gonna show you one example of this in a simple beat that we're working on right now. But first I'm gonna open the window because it's getting really warm. All right, so here's how this beat sounds. And it's very simple. It just has a bass, I call it an ARP. It's not really an ARP, it's more of a melody. It has a lead that sits on top of that melody. And what else? It's pretty much it, some drums. So now I'm gonna give you an example of turning down the filter cutoff on 4 tracks at the same time. This is what that sounds like. So that's the kind of stuff that you can do with Ctrl+All on Elektron boxes like Syntakt, Digitone 2, Digitakt 2, or Digitakt 1 for that matter. Here's another example. Here I'm modifying the amp envelope or amp attack. Yeah, so that's just a couple of examples. Now I'm going to show you how this is done so you can do this for yourself. So here's the thing. You have a Q-link button on the MPC Live 2. If you have the MPC X, I think you have some dedicated Q-link edit buttons as well. But anyway, so here it goes. You hold down this Q-link button and then you press on the screen Q-link edit. This takes you to the macro configuration page. So really important here is to set the Q-link mode to project. There's actually 2 separate projects. So you basically have 2 sets of project-wide macro that you can set up. But normally when you start, it's set to something else. It might be on track, or I actually don't know what the default is, but I always set it to project. That's what I prefer because that gives me the ability to jam on top of a song embryo as I'm sketching. So actually, let me just clear this so I can show you how this is done from the beginning. So now I've cleared this first macro. The other macros are still like they were before. Now I'm going to show you how you do this on the first Q-link knob on the first page. So you see you have 4 pages here as well. So you have up to 16 Q-link macros that you can use. I'm going to define the first one to be the filter cutoff for 4 tracks at the same time. So that's going to be the ARP, the lead, the bass, and the pad. You don't have to lock it to one particular parameter. You could, in theory, do a macro that does multiple things across multiple tracks, different parameters across different tracks as well. But just for simplicity, I'm just going to pick filter cutoff. Keep in mind, I actually have this set to Momentary, which is something I'll get to later. So I'll just turn that off. The first step here is to press Learn. That takes it into a mode where it listens to input. There is actually another way when I think about it. The slow way to do this would be to press the plus button. And then you can manually add those parameters that you want to include. So for example, maybe you want the bass filter cutoff to be included on this macro. Then you press Edit. You scroll down this list and you identify VCF cutoff. That's the filter cutoff for this plugin. That's a fairly slow way of doing it, and there's a better way. But already right now, you have the base filter cutoff assigned. So I can play this now, and I can already use it. So let me just demo this real quick. So you hear the bass filter. So it already works. But so instead of pressing this plus button and going that slow route, what you can do is you press learn, and you can see an indication now that it's in learn mode because this LED is blinking. So now what I can do is I can go into whichever track I want to affect. So I said I wanted the bass, the pad, the ARP, and the lead to be affected. So I would go into the ARP, and then I would go into Program Edit. There's no Program Edit button on the MPC Live 2. So it's actually called Track Edit now in MPC3. I just learned that now. So Track Edit is this button. Because I have this assigned to the bottom right shortcut, I can actually just hold down Menu and press Pad 4. So essentially, the menu here corresponds to these 16 paths. Every time I switch to Program Edit, I'm just gonna use Menu Pad 4. So it's already blinking, as you can see. I'm gonna head over to the filter. I'm gonna tap on the filter. And now if I twist this, it's gonna automatically assign this to the macro. And I can double check that by going back to Q-Link Edit. I can now see that the ARP has the cutoff added as well. Since I want more parameters, I will also go to the lead, do the same thing, go into Program Edit. It's already selected, the filter cutoff, so I'm just gonna twist it once, and now that's added. So now I can play this just to confirm that it's working. So now you can hear that more filters are being turned down when I dial this one down, which is pretty cool. This is Ctrl+All, essentially, on an MPC for the first time. I said I wanted the pad sound to have this as well. So I pressed learn again. And the thing about the pad is that it's a OPX4 sound, and it doesn't have a good filter that I could use. So I actually added an insert effect, a vintage filter. And so I'm gonna just tap on that instead and twist the knob once, and then now this is added. So you see that it's still in learn mode. You can go back to Q-Link Edit and unpress this button, but a faster way is just to play. Then it automatically turns it off. So now I have all 4 parameters assigned to this, which is exactly what I wanted. So that's how you do it. There's a couple of more things to mention. For each of these parameters, you have the ability to select what you want the start and the end point, the minimum and the maximum states to be. So for example, if I wanted the bass to be a little bit higher up in its, let's say, lowest phase. So I set it to 109 hertz instead of 40. Then if I dial this down, you can see that it stops at 109 hertz. So you can do this with all 4, and you can set it to however you want. Another thing you can do is you have this momentary toggle. So if you press the momentary toggle, then actually it will only work while you hold this Q-Link. So if I release it now, it will snap back to where it was before, which can be super useful if you wanted to do some performance effects. Like I have this third Q-Link assigned to some drum effects, sort of make it fade away in the background. And then when I release it, it goes back to normal. So this is a little bit like funk no on the Elektron workflow. So you this is what I meant with this is almost Ctrl+All. You have the ability to assign whichever parameter you want, and you have the ability to decide if it snaps back or if it's going to sort of be permanent, the twist you make. It's really, really powerful. And like I said, you're not limited to just one type of parameters. I could set, for example, actually, let me show you this. So I have the filter cutoff. What I could do now is I could just add some, maybe, let's just add the bass resonance, for example. So I press resonance and then I toggle it one more time. And now you can hear the resonance on the bass. Maybe that's a little bit too much. So that's when the ability to just define the min and max values can be really useful. So maybe I wanted to not go over 50%. Then it would sound like this instead. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. There's nothing more to it. It's very, very powerful. Like I said, this is only available on the MPC3 beta. This is not available on the MPC2 yet. This is, I'll be honest, this is the one thing that I look forward to the most about the MPC3. I haven't really delved into the MPC beta that much yet because it's a bit buggy, to be honest. And importing MPC2 projects has been a hit and miss. I have too many projects from MPC2 that I still want to finalize. And because the MPC3 beta doesn't have the VST plugin, so you can drop it into Ableton or any DAW, I want to wait because we prefer to mix our songs in Ableton. So without the plugin, that's just not very easy. Then you would have to export stems, audio stems, and we prefer not to. We prefer to use just the plugin. So let me just show you how you might be able to use this in a live performance setting, let's say. So I could do some transition now to create, sounds like I'm floating in the air, and then I'm releasing it, it snaps back. It's so wonderful. Also, you could set up the other cue links. So I actually prefer this like a Swedish chef. So you can still, I've set it up so that the second page controls all of these 4 parameters of filter cutoff manually. So I could, if I want to override some of the stuff that I did with Ctrl+All, I can still do that here. And then I still have this more crude Ctrl+All feature, and it snaps back to where I was. Yeah, I really like this. I think that's obvious by now. So that's it. I encourage you to try this. It's really, really fun. You have to download the MPC3 beta, which is a bit of a fiddle, but it's well worth it. I'm having fun with it. But like I said, I will switch back to MPC2 because we do have this song, for example, is one of the projects that we're actively working on. And I really want to mix it in Ableton when we're done. So it's not going to be, we're not going to continue developing this song on MPC3. We will have to look forward to this when it's ready. And when it has the VST as well. We have a few years of experience with the MPC ecosystem, and we are considering doing more tutorials like this in the future. So if this is interesting to you, feel free to let us know what you would like to learn more about. So that's it. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful 2025. It's going to be a good year. I have a good feeling about it. Thanks for watching.